Welcome. Welcome to another episode of AI Literate Citizen. Today we have a special guest, Jaclynn Morgan. She's the CEO of Health Vice with the mobile WellFed app. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I I think we should just jump right into it. Um,
All
so
right, I'm
tell
ready
us
to
who you
dive.
are and tell us your story.
Okay. Whenever I started this company, it was after I was immobilized because I fell down the stairs, and me and a friend of mine were talking over some issues that his friend had, his partner, with an inflammatory issue. She's been to many doctors, many different times, and did not have any results in helping her have decreased pain and discomfort with her endometriosis, with her inflammatory issue.
Hmm.
And she was debilitated for at least 4 days every month in bed. She could not function. So I was like, well, have you ever approached this with nutrition? Have you altered your diet at all? And they said no. I was like, the doctors haven't recommended or tried to gear you that way. And they said no. So we took the time to look up different recipes that would fit an anti-inflammation diet.
Hmm.
And we had to, of course, source check the factual basis of what we looked up, because whenever you're searching anything through the internet, you have to look at the source. Not everything that you find is factually and scientifically based.
Hmm.
So it took us a while to sort through all the different things that we found, and it took about a day and a half to come up with something comprehensive and a path that she could truly use. So I made clear that she had to stick to it. She couldn't willy-nilly this. And when she applied this to her condition and her lifestyle, it was going on to the fourth month that she was barely noticing whenever her cycle came on,
Hmm.
and she wasn't getting the debilitating pain. She was able to function, and she even lost weight. She felt great about herself. And because of that incredible result that she was able to get just by altering what she put into her body with this strict restriction on her diet,
Hmm.
she was very grateful, and he was too, to see her feeling better about herself and not being affected by this so drastically. And then my friend also had some bowel issues. And so we did the same thing for him. And he had the same response with decreased discomfort
Hmm.
and problems with his stomach. And it all has to do with adjusting what you're putting into your body and helping your body not get inflamed. And
Hmm.
whenever we saw the amount of time it took to find these wonderful pieces of information and how to go about it, what recipes you could still make, we saw that there was a real need for this in the market, because there were several things out there that were very siloed, where
Hmm.
you could just have a recipe app, or you could look up a barcode and find ingredients, or it's specifically for gluten-free individuals. But we didn't see anything that could truly help people with any restriction that they
Hmm.
specified. So
Yes.
then the idea for Health Vice and our brand WellFed came to being. And we've been working on it since March of 2023 and building ever since.
So I changed the approach of how we started this off because I wanted you to start with the stories.
Mhm.
And the reason why this really resonated with me was two things. One, you know, this podcast is about AI technologies and AI education, and your app combines AI powered meal planning with those personalized recipes, the grocery list, um, what you've said about putting in specific restrictions. And the other piece, I said it resonated for two reasons. One is AI, because that's what I love. But two, next week, I'm looking at my calendar, next week, I will be 3 years cancer free. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer stage 3 in 2022. And one of the outcomes of that was looking at my diet and trying to reduce inflammation. And I've gone to the internet and I've done pretty much everything that you just said in your stories. Those are all the things that I've tried. I've got a whole magazine that I found at the CVS where the whole magazine is all about here are all the recipes to reduce inflammation. But the challenges I have is it's, myself as a single mom with two teenage daughters, and what I need and what they need are completely different in nutrition. And so that's another, challenge that I faced. And as I'm still going through this, 2 years later, 3 years later, you happened to reach out to me about what you were doing, and the two just merged really well. And so I am happy to have you as a guest on the podcast today.
Oh, I'm extremely happy to be
Mhm.
speaking with you and to be able to have this conversation. And congratulations on that three
Yes.
year
Thank
marker.
you.
That is huge and
Yes.
such a joy to be able to say. And I know it's going to keep going. So,
Hopefully,
yes,
yes. There's still some things I need
AI.
to work on, but
Oh, of
yes,
course.
yes.
Hey, the room for improvement is the room never filled.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Um, but yes, one of the inspirations of this is to bring people and families back to the kitchen.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be too hard to make or too much where you have to do all this research. That's our job, is to make it easy for you to
Hmm.
enjoy a healthy meal together and not have so much worry, and to have a reliable platform to go to for these options.
Hmm. So let's talk about the app. The website uses the words AI powered meal planning. So, how about we understand more about the app? Specifically, what is the AI technology that you're using? Not go into the details of the technology, but what problems are you trying to solve by using AI?
Very good
Like, why did,
question.
yeah, okay.
Yes, a
Okay.
good way to word it and specify.
Yeah.
The uniqueness of our AI and how it's trained is that it is specific to food itself, and it is trained in food allergies and ingredient alternatives.
Hmm.
And so whenever you put in the user, whenever it is a profile is put in and run through, if someone has certain restrictions or allergies, for the allergies, it automatically takes out certain things that it makes that completely out of any recipe that you pull up. So if you find a recipe and run it through our AI, which is very easy, you'll find a recipe on our app and then you'll hit the little light bulb AI button
Hmm.
and it will run it through your profile after you've signed in and done a short onboarding to create your account.
Hmm.
It will show you immediately the ingredients that it changed in that recipe so
Oh.
that you can approve, like, hey, yes, I'm good with these ingredients that it changed. So I'm
Hmm.
I'm comfortable with that. And then you can confirm the recipe. And if you find an ingredient that you still don't want, you can regenerate the recipe and it will give you a different set of alternative ingredients. But it easily highlights the ones that it changes. It shows the other ingredients of that recipe that it does not change. And that way you can still have a recipe that you love that you weren't able to have before, but it's made to fit your profile.
Hmm.
The thing is with other AI engines like ChatGPT, which is
Yes.
incredibly useful for many, many applications. It is widely applicable in different areas depending on the version that you're using.
Hmm.
But it pulls directly from the entire internet. And not everything, as I stated before, not everything on the internet is trustworthy or scientifically backed or, it's not reliable because you need something that is proven and sturdy in its sound. So if you use Chat GPT or things like that, you can use it for some generalized food, diet, questions, but it's not reliable, so to speak, for ingredient alternatives for some restrictions. There are documented, actually news things that have been there, that it's substituted an ingredient that was harmful to the individual, that is actually
Mm.
poisonous to humans. It has given just alternatives that are not accurate for what you need. And so that's just because it's not specifically trained only for food and for those reasons. It's trained many other for many other purposes. Um, but our AI is only trained in food and for dietary restrictions. So you can be sure that it's not pulling from it's a Reddit review or something that's not scientifically backed. We're going from actual organizations and scientific data and that has been proven, accepted, approved, and scientifically founded.
What about changing conditions? So, let me give you an example. Um, Suddenly I'm using the app to help with maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and then individual becomes pregnant. Their dietary needs changed. So how could the individual who's using your app adjust as their health needs just over time?
When you are in our app and
Mhm.
say something like that comes up, you are able to go into your profile and adjust it. So
Oh,
it can
okay.
be adjusted directly from the user uh, for any kind of changes in your life. If you're pregnant and you want to add that, you need increased omega-3s and
Hmm.
some, extra foods maybe that help give natural forms of folate or
Right.
different things you can put in there that you're pregnant, and that will bring up a certain data on what pregnant women need
Hmm.
and it'll apply that to your profile so that if you run any of the recipes through the AI engine
Hmm.
after you have made that change in the profile. Like you can find a recipe and it not be altered, but you have to
Hmm.
run it through the AI engine for it to alter it to address exactly what you've put in your profile. So it's easily changed if something changes in your life that you can input it into the profile.
So these substitutions for the ingredients,
Mhm.
you've made some comments that not using Chat GPT is not recommended, and I think your examples were very very relevant, alarming as well. That Chat GPT is scanning the whole internet and it's bringing in things that could actually be harmful to the human. How do you ensure that that substitution is safe?
Very good question. We have a closed network in how we trained our AI. So, what we've trained our AI in are scientifically backed and proven restrictions and ingredient alternatives. So, already knows some restrictions if it's a gluten allergy or a lactose allergy or a peanut allergy. It
Hmm.
knows that that's an absolute cutout, not allowed into the recipe if the person runs the recipe through our AI engine. So, what we've actually trained our AI in is very specific to food, and has to be already scientifically proven and utilized and published in today's publicly accessible nutritional facts.
Hmm. You mentioned FDA approved list. That was right.
Yes, yes, we have a USDA database that we have included into our AI training. We do look for FDA. We are expanding on the medication, food
Hmm.
contraindications. So some medications do have conflicts with certain foods. Like for people with gout, for instance, they need to avoid things with grapefruit.
Right. My
Um,
medication, I can't take grapefruit. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
so there can be some contraindications for people that are on a medication, especially if they have to take this medication daily, regularly.
Hmm.
So these things are things that that we made sure to include into our AI and how it was trained. Because again, reliability, the trust of using AI, because there is a distrust with
Hmm.
AI in society today for good reason.
Right.
It is continuing to be improved. But just like a child, whenever you're teaching a child, it's all the information that you're feeding into the child. So as long as we make sure that the information we're feeding into the AI is
Hmm.
sound, scientifically backed, and accepted in the scientific community, when in regards of nutrition, then that's where we allow that to be fed into our AI.
So then if guidelines change, um, so then
Yes.
what I'm hearing is if guidelines change, then because of where you're pulling that data, if guidelines say that now this is not an FDA approved food,
Mhm.
then it would be removed automatically from that database because that's where you're pulling the list from.
Yes, actually, there we have to monitor that, but that would
Mhm.
be brought up as a flag, and
Okay.
the people that host my AI would make the adjustments. But yes,
Okay.
that is something that would be taken into account because
Okay.
things change all the time,
Yes.
and there's a lot of changes going on with food in America, right now, and
Mhm.
so that is something that is important to stay on top of.
So then when we think about AI, I always talk about transparency.
Mhm.
Um, so if I'm the user and I've said that these are the conditions that I want, and then the recommendations from your application are providing the ingredient substitutions, is there additional information that maybe explains why, or is it just assumed that because I said this is my condition, that the ingredient substitutes are matching that condition?
Well, that's an excellent question. As of right now, it's not giving you any additional explanation on why these ingredients were used.
Mhm.
Uh, but, typically a person will know if they have an agreement ingredient that doesn't work well with them. If you have something serious enough that a food is going to have an interaction with you,
I'll know about
or
it.
the
Right.
user typically knows to avoid certain things in their diet. But so right now it just makes it very clear the ingredients that have been changed,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's up to the user to confirm and accept that recipe, or they can regenerate it and then they'll get a different set of alternatives for those ingredients. And they can do that until they find one that, hey, that I'm great with these particular
Uh,
alternatives,
yeah.
and I accept it. And then they'll accept the recipe and it'll be saved into their AI generated recipes
So
for them to
I'm
use
just
at any time that they like.
so I'm going to illustrate that with my own story. Um, After my pregnancy, I suddenly became deathly allergic to buckwheat as a food ingredient. Never had it before, but it's just something that occurred randomly.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of um, fluctuations within the food industry where suddenly buckwheat is like the one thing that everybody wants to use as an ingredient. And then, then there'll be fluctuations where suddenly nobody wants to use buckwheat. But it's one of those where, because those fluctuations are unpredictable, I have to constantly stay diligent looking at food items, ingredients, Um, Chips that I used to eat, suddenly they decided to put, buckwheat in them, but didn't say anything in the advertising. And I ended up in the hospital.
Oh my God.
Um, I'm just illustrating the point here that you made. So in
Yes.
this scenario, I know that that buckwheat is really bad for me. And in using your app, if buckwheat is one of those that gets recommended, I can decline it and ask it to come up with an alternative.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. In
So,
fact, one of the companies and APIs that we are talking with right now,
mhm,
it is going to be, we're working on a collaboration. And what it does is that it shows you whenever someone orders a recipe and they find a recipe, something that they like, they have a few meals and recipes that they've picked, they put it in their shopping cart, they go to order it to be delivered to their home.
mhm.
Whenever they're looking at the brands for the types of ingredients, it actually shows them which brands fit their profile best because some brands
Oh,
have hidden ingredients that
yes.
may contradict exactly what you're talking about.
Hmm.
So, because of the importance, whenever you have a food allergy, we want to make it as absolutely surefire reliable as possible. And so that's why I'm continuing to work on collaborations and partnerships with different companies that offer specific applications or additives that can really give that reliability to the user.
Yeah, as you're thinking about the future of your app, because you mentioned early on in your introduction that you've really put a lot of effort in this. Is there one particular feature that you would not want to include in your roadmap, and why would that be? Yeah, so what's one, maybe feature is not the right word, but what's one capability that you won't build?
Oh,
Yeah.
um, capability that I will not build.
Mhm.
I would say, probably. mm,
Yeah, I know that was a hard one.
That was a hard one. The biggest thing I would say, something that we don't want to allow to happen, I could say, is whenever we have an AI chat helper that
Mhm.
we are thinking on how if someone needs looking for something, they could type in a question, which many sites already have this. One thing that we don't want people to do is like whenever we have that feature, we don't want people to type into our automated AI chat helper something like, how do I build a, or how do I make a combustible cake? um, somehow, or thinking that you can use it for another capacity that's outside of food. Either it's
Mm.
we want it to immediately flag anything that could be deemed harmful to humanity or an individual, and
Mhm.
we don't want people to be asking our AI helper things that don't have to do with food. And I've been told like on other applications where they have these AI chatbot helpers, it's like a chat, it's like a chat GPT in a way, but
Mhm.
specified to handle questions from the user for basic purposes regarding their site. But sometimes there aren't firewalls in there that you can't ask it, hey, give me this type of code. And
Mhm.
someone's actually had a code given, a Python code for something whenever it's a site that has nothing to do with coding, and
Mhm.
so that's something we want to make sure that is not possible, is that for people to misuse any application of our AI, and for it to recognize any kind of threatening question or harmful question or misuse of our product. We just really want to make sure that we are nothing but a help inconvenience for people if anything regarding food or food accommodation, whether it be ordering groceries, planning a food-centric event like a wedding or a party or a business gathering, or to find a social food-centric group as a way to support dietary stresses,
Mhm.
or just finding variety in your recipes, or finding a chef that you really love to follow and you can follow them on our app.
Mhm.
These things we want to make accessible and easy, but we don't want any misuse of our product. So I I'm not finding any other way to answer that question.
I think that's a great way of answering it. You alluded to we, um, and flag. I heard the word we a lot, and I heard the word flagging, for misuse. So is there a human in the loop in this process where you do have humans in the background that are reviewing anything that's getting flagged by your app?
Me and my team are the
Mhm.
one that we are the ones monitoring at the moment.
Great. That's always a good answer. Yes. We definitely want to hear that. I'm going to shift a little bit to your roadmap, and then I have a couple questions about those competitive apps, those label reader receipt apps. But to finish up on this one, your your roadmap over the next 6 to 12 months, is there something that is going to be a technical or regulatory challenge to you being able to succeed the roadmap that you've envisioned?
Hmm. Well, the greatest technical
Mhm.
challenge that is going to be in the next 6 to 12 months is, and this is an ongoing challenge,
Mhm.
is the innovative training of our AI
Mhm.
and making it ever more uh, reliable and accurate. But we are expanding outside of what we've already trained our AI in, to even deeper waters of learning the user, which, let me be clear here
Mhm.
that any user on our platform, their identifiable information is separated from the dietary information,
Mhm.
because security is incredibly important in this day and age. And whenever
Yes.
you're putting anything that is specific, especially regarding health information, a person wants to know that they're being protected and that they're safe. So, personal identifying information for a user is separated from any dietary information and kept safe in a separate safeguard database.
Mhm.
Um, but the biggest challenge is actually furthering our AI training. We are training our AI in some really very deep waters when it comes to understanding the having a digital understanding of the human palate.
Mm.
And it could be very applicable to several different areas of industries. Um, but that takes a lot of time and
Mhm.
a lot of money to put into training something that has never been done before. And so that would be the biggest challenge, is just getting the training right. And we have an
Mhm.
incredible team who is training our AI that we're working with, with Burton Algorithms. The
Mhm.
CEO, Roman Scott, is a team of Stanford and Harvard scientists. They are incredible.
Mhm.
But yeah, that furthering training, it's gonna take a lot of attention, to make sure that it is right where we want it to be able to help in the areas that we want to help for the user, but also in different industries.
So then just to clarify, what you're talking about is taking your app to the next level. Where
Absolutely.
you have it right now works and it's ready for public use, but where you want to take it, which is the more refinement of the human palate, which is different for everybody, that's going to take some challenge because I think you just use the words, it's never been done before.
Not that I know of, not
Yeah.
from what I've researched. And it's quite a interesting thing if
Yeah.
you think about it to have a digital understanding of a of the human palate. And so
Yeah.
it's going to take a lot of research,
Hmm.
trial, uh, focus groups,
Yes. Yes.
lots and lots and lots of data. And so right now it's just about bringing people to see the uniqueness of our application, but it's going to probably take longer than 12 months to do
Right.
this,
Oh,
to be
absolutely. Yeah.
honest, because
Yeah.
it's quite a thing uh to try to build a digital understanding. That concept, you know, it's
Hmm.
not a human brain, it's
Right.
not a human tongue. So yeah, there's a
Interesting.
lot of research that we're going to put into that so that we can apply that into the industry and help the users and many different markets.
I like it. I will be following along. That's a very interesting concept. I would hope that there's funding, that someone wants to fund this, because I think it'd be quite intriguing to take it to that next level. Yeah. Um, I want to shift over to comparing you to other. I'm not going to use the word competitors, but I am going to have to use it because I'm not really sure how to put you in a different competitive landscape. But it's these apps that I've used before. I've downloaded them. I look up a food item that I'm about to eat. It gives me ingredients, and primarily it's a label or recipe app. Mostly because I'm trying to lose weight, and not really giving me any more direction. But I'd like to understand if you could clarify just a little bit more about what the difference is between what you're doing and what these out of the box, recipe apps are doing.
No, absolutely.
Mhm.
It's a good thing to clarify, to separate us, to show how we stand apart. I'm going to say that there are a lot of different specialized, siloed applications out there that can be used if you want a recipe app or, like you said, something you download to read a barcode or for
Mhm.
something that creates a meal plan. They're very specific and they don't have a lot of, they're good at the one thing that they do or a couple of things that they provide. But how we stand out is that we are the one-stop shop of all of these combined. This is what we want to provide for the public because the last thing I know the last thing people really want is like, oh, another app. There's like pages of apps on the screen that you like scroll through to find the right one. And there's a lot of apps out there. And so why not make an app that brings everything together? And this is
Mhm.
exactly what we've come together to do in my company to provide the public. We are creating the platform and have created the platform and the app that is all things food accommodation. So we, like I said, are in collaboration right now. I'll hear from tomorrow from the company that not only will help identify the different ingredient or brands of things that fit my dietary profile, but they will also be implementing the barcode reader for the ingredients. If you want a variety of your recipes, you need some new recipes. We want to be the place, or we will be the place that people come to get new recipes. If
Mhm.
you don't have time to grocery shop, You'll come to us and have it delivered to your house. You don't have to find the ingredients. You shop by the recipe and put it in your shopping cart and find the grocery store you want, and you have it delivered through Instacart.
Mhm.
If you want to create an event, you can make that through our app and invite anyone you want through text, through email, or find them on our application. If you want to find a new chef to follow that gives new recipes outside of our database, then you will find that chef on our app. If you want to find a social food group that supports the dietary needs that you like, you can find it on our app.
Mhm.
If you want to find a restaurant, we don't have this yet. That's something that we're going to implement in the future,
Mhm.
because we have a lot of things we're working on right
Okay.
now, but that is going to be added. That will be a feature where you can find a restaurant that can accommodate what you need in your diet. Like it will be able to accommodate if someone is a celiac, to
That'd
know
be a
that
game
you have
changer.
that. It's very difficult, for people that are celiacs, or,
Mhm.
that have a dairy allergy, or
Mhm.
nuts, or in things you can't even imagine. So to find restaurants that can accommodate that would be really helpful for people, because it's just more difficult for them, and
Mhm.
we want to make it easy. So the fact is that we are the one-stop shop for all food accommodations. That is
Mhm.
what we are working on building, and we've come a long way, and we offer a lot of that. We still have yet to implement the barcode reader. Like I
Mhm.
said, we are working on that right now, and other features to make it, again, easier and easier for, even if you have a highly restricted dietary profile or a group family profile with differing dietary profiles in that, for like a group family. Or it could be a group at the business office. You want a business lunch, and you got a couple people that have really different diets. It would be great to find a place that you don't have to order from two different restaurants. You
Mhm.
can have the meeting at a place that can handle all of these requirements.
Mhm.
But to be the one place you don't have to think about it. Oh, I don't have that app. I have to download something else. No,
Mhm.
you can have it through us.
I think what I've learned during this process, that what you're doing with your AI powered backend is you're hyper personalizing the nutrition and dietary needs of individuals. And I've always, I'm always been a huge data advocate, and data provides knowledge, and knowledge is power. And you're putting that power back in the hands of the individual, not in the brands or the restaurants, or everyone else out there. Um, yeah, I'm really pleased. I mean, I'm supposed to be pressing you and getting you to provide more transparency, but it's always exciting when you find something that's just really going to change the way we think about not just food, but think about how we make decisions about ourselves personally. So I think that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's with the ever-growing prevalence of metabolic disorders, autoimmune,
Mhm.
with cardiac issues, cancers are on the rise, and they're showing up. These things are showing up in the younger generations. They're showing up
Mhm.
in our children, in people who are younger, more and more prevalent. And we have to start looking, our genetics have been there. And yes, genetic predisposition, you can't argue this, but there are trigger factors in a lot of things. And one thing that unites, that everybody relies on, is what's available to us to eat.
Mhm.
So if we can make it easier for people to get better options to fit what they need conveniently, and able to save money on it, and
Mhm.
time is money, just like everybody knows. and make it craveable, make it tasty, and they know it's going to be awesome because it's catered to their palate, then that's what we want to do for people. It's going to help anyone that uses our application, and this is something that the U.S. population definitely needs.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for having you. Scratch
Thank
that.
you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much for that's correct. I had it the opposite direction. Thank you so much for being a guest. I appreciate it. I know you've got a lot going on, so thank you for taking time out to come and talk to me today.
Oh, thank you so much for your time, and it was a definite honor to be on your podcast.
Great. Well, thank you guys, audience, for listening in, and see you next time.